So moving on with what I want to share with everyone today. So I'm just going to go back to the first story again, right? And I don't need this view at the moment. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to close this away. And today we're going to touch a little bit on what's going to happen on top of us, which is the ceiling bits of things. Okay, so how to create the ceiling? How to create the ceiling would come from this portion here under ceiling plans. Okay, this portion down here. So by default, if I want to work the first story ceiling, okay, I can't be using the plan. These are all floor plans. So I need to go to the ceiling plans here. So I click and open up the ceiling plan, first story. All right. And once this happens, I will begin to see the soffit of the staircase, and then I will see the beams also and all. Okay, this is a bare ceiling. So I'm going to open up, let's say 3D view 1, so you can have a good idea what we're talking about. So we're talking about this area down here. Okay, so this one here. And we see down here, these are the beams that are here and all, right? And then everything, we would assume there are services above and all. So this is a bare ceiling without any treatment at all, like that. Next, what I can do would be, I can go to, again, beamobject.com, right? And then I can go and look for some of the stuff that I probably would need. Now, I want to download this one. This is what we call the ceiling mounted air conditioner fan coil. So I would do a search called ceiling fan coil. All right. I do a search on ceiling fan coil. I will see an array of aircon related components like this. Now, this one is a wall mounted aircon. All right. This one is very common. We always see this in our homes and all. Huh? This one is slightly less commonly seen. This is the cassette fan coil mounted. This one is a ceiling mounted aircon. So we're going to use this and we're going to download this. All right. And I probably am going to need a ceiling light. So I'm just going to look for a ceiling light. And what I've done is I've downloaded one of these components here. So I wanted something that looks nicer and all. So uh, like a ceiling, this one, a ceiling hung on, ceiling light Picasso. So I've downloaded this one. And also, I'm going to need a ceiling fan as well, right? So I'm going to just put this one in ceiling fan. And again, there is an array of different designs and components that we can look for and download. So I've just downloaded this one just to make an example, all right? Just for an example here, like that, huh? So this is what I would see at the end of the day. And after I've downloaded them, there you go. So I've got the ceiling fan, the ceiling light, and the ceiling aircon. So I'll just rename them a little bit like this. All right. So let's try and take a look. Before we get started though, so what I'm going to do is I just want to explain some of the user, for new users, you're going to encounter such typical problems. Like if I want to insert, how to insert a component. So again, we click on this, we will place a component like last week, right? We learned how to fix, put up the furniture, the coffee tables, the sofa, etc. All right. So for example, I'm just going to use this one, this M downlight recessed can. This one is a downlight design. All right. Downlight lighting. And by default, I'm just going to use any one of these 277 volts and here, a circle that looks with a slash like that. Now, it is trying to tell me, hey, sometimes this one cannot be loaded or something. It won't allow us to load this somewhere. So if we load it a little bit closer, right? Let's say if I go because it doesn't allow me to do it. All right, so I can't see this one. All right. So very frequently when we load in something, it disappears. Even when we change it to say, when you look at this one, when we change it to hidden line, it doesn't appear. It's lost. But when we change this one to a wireframe, it seems to appear. And then when I select this in plan, but in fact it is placed at the lower roof, that is actually 2 levels up already. So how do we know where exactly it went anyway? All right, we can know this by, okay, and I will use the WT shortcut key here just to make sure we can now see the section as well as the in, and then I'll do another WT, right? And ZA to zoom all. So right now, if I can zoom closer, right, you see now, can we now see here at the lower roof? That's wrong, but we can fix it, all right? It's quite easy for us to fix it. We can just simply select this one and change it to, say, first story. Let's see if we get lucky or not. You see, even though, oh dear, something is wrong. Huh? Now, even though you notice, even though I changed the level to first story, this can refuse to come down. It refused to come down to somewhere here in the first story. The problem lies in the fact that it requires, okay, these ceiling fixtures, they require a ceiling proper. So if we don't have a ceiling, we have a problem because it will start to look for the nearest available or the next available ceiling to look at. So this one is a ceiling component. So that's why it sticks itself here and it refuses to come down because there's basically no ceiling in the first story. All right. So this is the problem, and we're going to try to fix it right now. All right. So next, what we're going to do is I'm just going to do a really quick and dirty sealing down here, okay, with this panel. Huh? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just change the display option from a wireframe to a hidden line like that first for now. And I'm going to go to architecture, and I'm going to look for ceiling. So I click on this ceiling command now, and I'm going to look for this one called sketch ceiling. So when I click on this sketch ceiling, I will be in the draw mode. So it will allow us to, draw a couple of components down here and all. Huh? There is later you will learn in the instructional based on auto sealing and all. But I'm going to just use this one first to sketch a rough ceiling first. So I just want to do something quick and dirty so that I have a ceiling to work off from now. So I'm just going to click on this rectangle, and I'm just going to draw a rectangle somewhere down here like that. Okay, intentionally not very precise, intentionally large enough so that we can hopefully cover the beam and all. Okay, like that. But before we finish off with the tick command down here to finish the edit, I'm not gonna finish this off just yet. I am going to make sure we are doing this one correctly at the first tick. Okay, so by default it starts off at second story here. But no, wait a minute, we are working on the first story ceiling plan, right? So we don't want to go there for now. We're going to change this one to first story. And at 2.6 meters seems a little low. Let's maybe try 3 meters for now. Okay, at 3 meters ceiling height, all right? So I'm going to try to put it at 3 meters for now and click finish. And let's take a look and see what we've got. You notice right now we have created a ceiling. So how to make sure we know we have created it and all? Huh? I'm just going to select this element here and go back to the sectional view down here. So you notice here there is a blue colored line is being selected here. So that is the ceiling element itself. But the thing is, my display option is correct and it shows hidden line though. But why do I still see the beams and the ceiling board together? Technically speaking, if I have created it properly, right, the beams should have been behind the ceiling board. So we would not be seeing the beams at this region at least. Now the key issue is, if you look at it clearly, right, closely, we zoom real close, we will see that the ceiling board itself, the height of the ceiling finish is actually the same height as the soffit. This is what we call the soffit, the soffit of the beam itself. So that is the problem. Now, in order to make this one disappear, we probably need to lower the ceiling a little bit. Like, for example, we drop it by another 2 inch, let's say about 2950 and all. And let's take a look and see what happens, okay? So you see we drop the ceiling by 50, and then you notice now the ceiling, the beams itself, okay, is covered, now covered nicely by the ceiling board already. Okay, it's very, very much similar to construction. You know, you don't want the beams to be exposed. You simply lower the ceiling so that we can cover up the not so elegant beams altogether in this case, just like that. All right. And then moving on, next, we now see the ceiling, the line of the ceiling finish down here. So we're going to try again to deal with this this light fixture again, all right? So I'm just going to click on this ceiling, this light fixture here, and I'm going to try to see if I can change it again to second story and then to first story, whether or not we can drop this one down. Now wait a minute, it doesn't work anymore, unfortunately, yeah? So if it doesn't work anymore, then I'm going to delete this and try my luck again one more time, okay? So I'm going to click on, again, architecture, component drop-down list, right? This component drop-down list, and I'm going to click on place a component again. Again, this time now, I'm going to use the same recess can and all, right? And then you see down here, there's a default elevation from level and all. So I'm just not going to touch this one for now and see what we can get. Okay, so I'm just going to click here and see whether we can get a light fixture to be mounted properly or not. So if you click on this right now, we can now see that the recess can ceiling, right? This recess can lighting is showing up quite nicely on the board itself, on the ceiling board itself already. So what happens is we can now go to the 3D view and see whether we get this lighting here or not. So if you notice, our ceiling lighting is now appearing down here. All right, so yeah, I think we got that in. So thank God it's inside already. And I'm just going to close this 3D view for now and then zoom out. Okay, so that's how we place ceiling components first and all. So again, remember this one. In general, quite a lot of ceiling components are ceiling dependent. So we need to create this one first. We need to create a ceiling board first in order for us to be able to put in or to add in the ceiling fixtures and components. Without the ceiling board, it's going to create quite a lot of havoc in which sometimes we may not be able to manage it correctly, and then we just keep clicking and clicking and clicking, and then we just keep creating more and more and more down here. All right. So that is not a good idea to do this, because later on you'll mess up our model. Okay, I show you another example like that. If I never the same down like this recess can, right? If I don't have a ceiling board somewhere and I create, it disappears, okay? And then, hey, how come it keeps disappearing? I try again, right? Okay, let me just try again. Maybe I'll get this right. And the next time, I'll keep creating again and all. All right? And one more time, I try my luck one more time and do this, okay? And take a look. I've created this so many times, but then it just keeps disappearing. But actually, it really didn't disappear. It is actually created on the roof itself, because that is the only available ceiling finish on this site, on this model. All right, so again, we may end up creating many iterations of this fixture, but at the wrong level. Okay, so please take note of this, right? Next, I'm going to try my luck creating another type of lighting here. Okay, this ceiling light Picasso. What I can do is very straightforward and fast method of doing would be I simply download the file somewhere that I can work on, that I can remember the location. Yeah. And I will just simply click and drag this fixture here. All right. So again, it doesn't show me much. I'm just going to click on this here like that. And then if you look at this right now, right, there is a warning. None of the created elements are visible in the reflected ceiling plan, first story view. You may want to check the active view, its parameters, and visibility settings, as well as any plan regions and their settings. All right, so it's quite a mouthful here, but in fact, it's telling you, hey, wrong elevation or wrong view. Please pay attention to this. So again, when I create ceiling elements and all, because there is always this tendency of us setting it wrongly, or depending on how we download this model, right, or who created this additional component that we download from. I like to have the section ready, the section view ready, so that I have a good idea when these sort of messages appear. I have a good idea of where it is likely going to be around. Am I making big mistakes, like, you know, it going to the lower roof or the upper floor or something, or it is going down into the basement and all. So sometimes it's really hard to predict. All right, but it's good to have a section handy somewhere so that we can deal with this problem. Yeah. So I'm just going to finish this, and I'll do a bit of detective work by changing this one to from hidden line, right? The graphic display options from hidden line to wireframe to see whether it is actually appearing somewhere here or not. The lower roof or the second story plan, etc. No, it's not. Okay, it is not, because it is actually appearing at the lower floor plan. That means instead of looking up, I need to be looking down to find the stuff, which is down here. Okay, the object is actually down here. Just going to shift this a little bit so that we can see this, like that. And once I select this element, it shows me it is at level first story. It is elevation from level 16.2. Okay, some strange number. Maybe I'll change it to 0 first for now to just establish where it is exactly. Now, it's quite a distance from here that I don't know about, right? So I'm going to use this measure between two references, to try to see if I can fish out a point of which I can refer to or not. Let's say down here, and I'm going to see what is the highest point here to my ceiling. What's the distance? The distance is about what, 1030.5 or something like that. Okay, so I'm going to just click on this element here and change it to 1030 point, let's say 5, like that. And there you go. I can now attach this one quite nicely to the ceiling already, like that. I'm going to change it to hidden view again, just to make sure stuff appears properly like that. Okay. And just to make sure things will work properly, I will open up the 3D view again to just have another look to see whether this fixture is here or not. Yes, it is. It's down here. So this is quite properly done already. Yes, it is. Okay. Moving on, I'm going to try my luck fixing up something else. Maybe I'm going to work on the ceiling fan now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag the ceiling plan in, the ceiling fan, and this looks visible right now. So I'm at the correct elevation. So some of these components, right, if we look at this one, you will find that, hey, it gives us some option to place this object, okay, this component, whether it needs to be placed on face or placed on work plane. All right. Generally, I would recommend, if you already have a ceiling set up and you know your ceiling height is proper already, then we will want to use this option called place on face. It will literally just stick on the face itself. Okay. That would do the job generally. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this to place on face, like that. But wait a minute, when I click on this place on face, right, it looks something wrong. It looks like something wrong because you look at this right now, I've got the ceiling fan here though, but then this ceiling fan now looks upside down. Oops. Okay, we've got a problem because it now looks upside down when we place it on face. So if we were to change this one from a hidden line display to wireframe, we will be able to see the ceiling fan. But not when we turn it into the proper hidden line, we won't see it. Now, there's an easier way to deal with this thereafter. That's why I said it's good to have the section view open so that we know exactly what went wrong. So we're going to click on the object itself, right? The component. Now, if we zoom a little bit closer, you'll find that there is a symbol down here. There is a symbol down here that would allow us to flip the work plane. All right. So that's exactly what we're going to do. So we're going to go ahead and click on the flip work plane. And you will find that right now, the ceiling fan is going to orientate nicely already. Let's take a look again in 3D view to make sure stuff is working properly like that. Okay, so there you go. The ceiling fan is here and is applied properly. All right. Then lastly, I'm going to work on the ceiling aircon. All right, so I'm just going to drag this again and load it in. And I'm just going to click on this and then see what happens. And see where exactly is the ceiling. It's not appearing anywhere though. Not appearing anywhere. That's very strange. Okay, I'm going to try my luck. I'm going to undo this again and I'm going to try to do it one more time. Drag across. And before I click to finish, right? Let me see what is actually inside here, whether or not I see this object or not. Is it because I'm doing this for a second time? It's not going to appear. So then I'm going to go to architecture now and click on component and click on place a component. And then next, I will now see the ceiling aircon here already. All right, and then I can click on this and then make sure it is somewhere here. Okay, the reason I think, oh, I see it. The reason why it is not appearing, okay, it is because by default though, right, it's doing this. You know this? It's saying place on vertical plane or vertical face. On vertical face means it will only appear in vertical faces like the walls or the partitions and all. It's not going to place on anything that is horizontal. So that is likely the problem. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and change this to place on face instead. So I'm going to click on place on face. And then you see right now, the moment I do that, it appears already. And I can now click on the plane itself. Okay. Let's take a look to see whether it appears or not. Yes, it does appear, but it appears again upside down. Okay, another upside down situation. So what we're going to do is in the section itself, I'm just going to click on the section and look for the icon to flip it around, to flip the work plane again. And there you go. And that's it. All right. Just to make sure we're doing things properly, right? So I'm going to click on 3D view 1 again and open it up. And we're going to see this. And can I see the aircon unit or not? Yeah, I think so. It's somewhere here. Let me just change it to shaded. Yep, there you go. It's here. So I've got the components in already in general, right? So let me just close the first story ceiling plan and the sections now and just maximize this view so that we can see this one clearly. So these couple of ceiling components are in already. 2 types of ceiling lights, and then the ceiling fan as well as the fan coil, the air conditioner fan coil, all in. Okay, and to just address this last issue or common questions asked by the students, right, or new users, I like an industrial look. I just don't want the ceiling treatments, ceiling boards. I like it bare. But then all these ceiling elements must be there because they provide creature comforts at a basic level. So what happens is after all these are done and then the placements and all these components are done up properly already, we will select the ceiling element and we will right click and hide it in view. Hide in view elements. So all these things will now disappear and it will appear as if it's dangling and all. So obviously then we will need to do some model in place to extend, let's say, to create the extension so that it is mounted on the ceiling and all this. Okay, to create that illusion that it is mounted or ceiling mounted on the soffit of the structural floor. All right, to create that one. But then we can now begin to see this. And again, I repeat, in case, okay, it maybe looks better with the ceiling treatment now, I decide to maybe have the ceiling board. So I'm going to click on the review hidden elements and I'm going to click on that and I'm going to select the hidden ceiling board, which is the hidden element shown in magenta here, and right click and to unhide in view elements like that. Okay, and once I'm done, I can turn off the light bulb. The ceiling should reappear again like that. Okay, so when I double click on the first story reflected ceiling plan and I use the WT to tile everything, I should now be able to see it in 2D, the plan itself, the ceiling plan, and I should be able to see it also in 3D, either through a sectional view. Is it section AA or BB? I think it's section BB, right? So again, WT again to just make sure we see everything. So I can begin to see the ceiling plan. I can see it in the section, the first story section that I'm working on, and also the perspective view, which is a 3D view. Now, the nice thing about having all these things attached to the ceiling elements attached to the ceiling board is also collectively, if I want to change the ceiling height, I can literally just do it once and for all. Let's say 2600. I can change and most of these elements would follow. Okay, which except for this one, which I don't know why, because it can't quite follow. That really depends on what it is being modeled with. All right, what is being what the creator or how the creator locks the plane and all from here. All right. So again, if we have to do this, we might have to edit the work plane a little bit and to change the work plane. But then again, with most of all these elements all dropping down, it will be easier for us to simply just make all these changes anyway. All right. So I'm just going to select this and change it again to 2954 one more time. And then to reinstate it, let's say back to its original height already. Like that. Okay. That's all I want to share with everyone that is pertinent to the instructional lessons we're going to learn today. All right. Are there any questions or not so far? Okay, if there are no further questions, this lesson is recorded, so in case you need to refer to any of these elements regarding ceiling treatments and all, right? So please feel free to refer to the lesson recordings and all. If not, drop me a message and then we'll put our heads together to see how to help you and how to solve some of these difficulties that you are encountering. All right. If there are no further questions, I want to leave you to work on the instructional learnings. And for some of you, quickly finish up the in-class exercise 03, okay, before 8:30. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, can I ask, right?
Lexi, hello.
Just so when I'm doing the walls in the model